about kind of you playing off the ball a little bit,
Yeah.
get a little bit of on-court rest. Just what do you think about playing off the ball?
Yeah, well, I think that's going to be something like that's what you have training camp for, and that's what you have the preseason games for, is to try different lineups and to try different people, and to give the people that are fighting for roster spots a chance to go out there and compete and perform. Like, I'm not going to go out and play 30 minutes on Saturday. That's just not going to be the case. That's not what it's about. It's, obviously I'm going to go out there and compete as hard as I can, but that's not what we need to do. And I think
pay attention to what just happened there. A reporter asked Caitlin Clark about playing off the ball, and she didn't just answer the question, she pushed back against a larger story that had been building for weeks. Her small armrest comment was her way of signaling that the rumors about Stephanie White changing her role don't really hold up. The media picked up on it quickly because this storyline has been developing since Stephanie White became Indiana Fever head coach in October 2024. White's background with the Connecticut Sun, where she coached a strong defensive system, led analysts to believe she might bring a similar style to Indiana. That sparked speculation that Clark would spend more time playing without the ball and take on less playmaking responsibility. That conversation grew even louder during media day. Several outlets suggested that players like Kelsey Mitchell or Lexi Hull could take on more of the primary ball handling duties to ease pressure on Clark. ESPN even ran a piece exploring how that shift might expand Mitchell's role and possibly put her back in all-star contention.
I think mostly on dead balls, like I think I'm the best transition player in the league. That's where I thrive. Everybody knows that's my game. So, getting the ball off of rebound or in transition, like that's probably when I'm going to be the primary ball handler more than anything. And then, getting off the ball a little bit and
that remark right there, Caitlin let us know that she's going to be the primary ball handler. So that lead me to believe all this Caitlin Clark off the ball, all this stuff Stephanie White is saying is just not the case. Because Caitlin, in her own words, and this is why the media is doing what they're doing today, and this is why these articles are coming out.
She says she's the best transition player in the league, and that's where she thrives, and she treats it like a fact, not just confidence. In her view, it's simply what her game is built on and what she does best. From July to August 2024, Caitlin Clark shot 53% from three in transition situations. In fast break scenarios, she also posted a 4.2 to 1 assist-to-turnover ratio, which led all WNBA guards who played at least 30 games. When she pushes the ball up the court herself, the Indiana Fever average about 1.18 points per possession. But when someone else initiates the offense and she receives the ball in the half-court, that number drops to 0.94. So when she calls herself the best transition player, it isn't really about ego. It's based on her production. She's basically pointing to her own scouting report and making it clear that taking her out of transition opportunities would mean giving up efficient scoring chances.
Your breath, like it is exhausting bringing the ball up 94 feet versus pressure every single time. So we certainly need to find somebody that can handle the ball a little bit and give me a little bit of a break. And I think Raven and Ty and even other people through camp Tori's done a great job, and Kels does it a little bit, and even I think our 4s and 5s can do that. You saw AB do that a lot last year when we were really in trouble injury-wise. So I think there's a lot of different things that can give us a lot of different looks and just makes us harder to guard more than anything.
This is where it gets more interesting. Clark does acknowledge that she'll get help bringing the ball up the court at times, mentioning players like Kelsey Mitchell, Temi Fagbenell, and Aaliyah Boston stepping into those moments. But the way she frames it is important. She isn't describing a full system change where her role is reduced. She's talking about small, situational relief like after dead balls or made baskets when the defense is already set and it makes sense for someone else to initiate. That's very different from the media speculation that suggested she might spend long stretches just spotting up on the perimeter. The rumors painted a picture of her being used more like a stationary shooter, similar to a catch-and-shoot role. What she's actually describing is just smart load management during certain possessions so she can stay fresh, especially in high-intensity games. And that distinction matters beyond just tactics. A lot of the conversation around her wasn't only about basketball strategy, it was also about power and control. People were basically asking whether Stephanie White would have the authority to reshape the offense around a different philosophy, even if it meant changing how the league's biggest star operates. Some analysts even treated it like a test of coaching credibility. Could White implement her system fully, or would she have to adapt to Clark's style?
Caitlin Clark definitely put to bed a lot of the rumors to Stephanie White that we got to say are rumors now, that she'll be playing off the ball and possibly wouldn't be the primary ball handler. Now, we know the news came out yesterday when Caitlin Clark did her presser, and she put the entire W on notice. Now, with that being said, I clicked on Google today to try to bring you guys some content just to look and see what.
So Clark made it clear in a pretty direct way, Stephanie White is not changing her role. Indiana's offense will still run through her with the ball in her hands. White may bring her defensive system and manage rotations differently, but the main offensive identity stays the same. It also explains why Clark addressed it so openly. The off-ball talk wasn't just random media discussion, it was starting to influence how other teams were planning for Indiana. If opponents believed she would be used more as an off-ball shooter, they would adjust their defensive schemes around that idea. By speaking up at Media Day, she essentially set the expectation for the entire league. Teams should prepare for the same Caitlin Clark they saw last season, just improved with better conditioning and more refined shooting.
Caitlin Clark shooting. And the way she looked, how she looked. Let's watch. We can watch this whole. We can watch Caitlin shoot. That. Look at her. Look at her form. Like. Only thing that bothers me is Stephanie White. It don't seem like she be coaching and doing practice.
Look at her shooting form. There's a noticeable change in the mechanics. Her release is higher, her elbow alignment is more consistent, and her follow-through looks smoother and more controlled. It's not the same shot she had in April 2024 when she was still adjusting from college to the WNBA and dealing with fatigue from that transition. In her rookie season, Clark shot 41.7% from 3 overall, but that number varied a lot depending on situation. When she played more than 35 minutes, her three-point percentage dropped to 37.2%. In the final 5 minutes of close games, it went down even further to 34.8%. That shows how fatigue affected both her mechanics and decision-making late in games. The difference now comes from her off-season work. She trained with a shooting coach who previously worked with the Phoenix Mercury, focusing on keeping her form consistent even when she's tired. The higher release point makes it harder for defenders to contest her shots, and improved footwork helps her get into her shooting motion faster when catching the ball.
Shot 53% from 3. So I'm looking forward to seeing her shot well. But it's just a beautiful time, man. I can't even lie to y'all, man. I'm excited. We're a few weeks away from it all going down, and you all should be super excited too, man. It's been a long time coming.
Look at her shooting form. There's a noticeable change in the mechanics. Her release is higher, her elbow alignment is more consistent, and her follow-through looks smoother and more controlled. It's not the same shot she had in April 2024 when she was still adjusting from college to the WNBA and dealing with fatigue from that transition. In her rookie season, Clark shot 41.7% from 3 overall, but that number varied a lot depending on situation. When she played more than 35 minutes, her three-point percentage dropped to 37.2%. In the final 5 minutes of close games, it went down even further to 34.8%. That shows how fatigue affected both her mechanics and decision-making late in games. The difference now comes from her off-season work. She trained with a shooting coach who previously worked with the Phoenix Mercury, focusing on keeping her form consistent even when she's tired. The higher release point makes it harder for defenders to contest her shots, and improved footwork helps her get into her shooting motion faster when catching the ball.
We all heard what she said, but it's been reported that Caitlin Clark had a demand as she wrapped up her media day session on Wednesday inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The Indiana Fever star ordered the gaggle of media people to come in the middle, which we all seen her do that. But what's standing out is the Fever have optioned three-time All-Star Kelsey Mitchell, who might be the fastest guard in the league, has taken a role before in All-Star Leah Boston, and so on and so forth. Now, Caitlin Clark in this interview stated that she can elevate some pressures with Caitlin Clark having to bring the ball up court.
This part of the coverage is where things get a bit misunderstood. ESPN ran with the headline, "Caitlin Clark aims to stay Fever's top ball handler," which is accurate, but it doesn't fully capture what was actually happening underneath it. Clark wasn't just answering questions about her role, she was also subtly setting expectations for how Indiana's offense will operate under Stephanie White. Instead of directly pushing back on speculation, she leaned on facts about her game and let her performance history do the talking. It's a calm, low-conflict way of closing down a narrative without turning it into a back-and-forth with the media. There's also a broader layer to it. Some voices in WNBA media have long argued for more ball movement and less isolation-heavy offense. From that perspective, Stephanie White's arrival looked like an opportunity to test whether even a star like Clark could thrive in a more balanced, shared playmaking system. So when this storyline started gaining traction, it wasn't just casual speculation, it tied into a bigger debate about how Indiana's offense should evolve and what kind of system best fits a superstar guard like Clark.
Let's listen to what she had to say. And this part right here really
I don't know if you guys have heard anything I've said.
No.
Steph has talked about creating depth in the backcourt, especially with your injuries last year and Kelsey going until the wheels fell off. Just what do you think about having